Captain Rex Hammond was having the kind of day that made him question his life choices. Again. He floated through the debris field of Station Kepler 7, a derelict human outpost that had been abandoned for 4 centuries, looking for anything worth selling. His scanner pinged. Metal. Old. Possibly valuable. "Captain, I am detecting geometrically perfect rectangular objects in Section 4, Vorn announced through the comm. Vorn was a Cathalian, which meant he had 4 arms, 0 sense of humor, and an irritating obsession with efficiency. They appear to be approximately 400 Earth years old. "Great, grab them," Rex said, maneuvering his salvage pod around a chunk of bulkhead. "Maybe they're data cores. Rich collector types love that ancient Earth stuff." "Captain, Captain, Captain," Pepper's voice crackled in, speaking at approximately 300 words per minute. Pepper was a Skittix, a species that looked like hyperactive otters had merged with LED displays. "I'm seeing the readings from here, and those are some seriously weird energy signatures like nothing I've ever traded. And I've traded everything you know that, so this could be really valuable or really dangerous, but probably valuable, so we should definitely grab them, right?" "That's what I just said, Pepper." 20 minutes later, they had the objects secured in the cargo bay. Rex pulled off his helmet and stared at what they'd found. 6 flat tablets, each about 3 feet tall, covered in symbols and diagrams. His crew gathered around with the kind of reverence usually reserved for funeral services or extremely good buffets. "These markings," Vorn said slowly, his forearms trembling slightly. "They match the sacred tablets of the assembly, the ones from the Temple of Organized Chaos on Uvara Prime." Rex squinted at the tablets. Then he squinted harder. Then he started laughing so hard he had to lean against a bulkhead. "Captain, this is not appropriate," Vorn said stiffly. "These are holy artifacts. Wars have been fought over interpretations of these symbols. The Allen Key purists and the Free Assembly movement have been in conflict for 70 years because of disagreements about the third sacred diagram." Rex wiped his eyes. "Vorn, buddy, I need you to hear me very carefully. These aren't sacred tablets." "Then what are they?" Vorn asked, his voice dropping to a whisper. Rex pointed at the top of the nearest tablet where faded letters were barely visible. "IKEA Billy Bookshelf, Assembly Instructions." "I do not understand these words," Vorn said. "They're instructions," Rex said, "for building furniture, cheap furniture, from a store, a very, very boring store where humans used to buy things in flat boxes and then regret their decisions while trying to figure out which screw was which." Pepper zoomed closer to the tablets, her bioluminescent patches flashing rapidly. Wait. So you're telling me that the galaxy has been worshipping furniture instructions for like 300 years? Because that's hilarious. But also these tablets are in 70% of the major museums in this sector, and there are entire universities dedicated to interpreting the sacred diagrams of the Allen Key, so if you're joking, this isn't funny, but if you're not joking, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, which has been a pretty long life, actually. "Not joking," Rex said. He looked at the tablets again, then at his crew's expectant faces, then at the tablets again. An idea formed. A terrible, wonderful, absolutely stupid idea. "You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these are sacred after all. Yeah, definitely sacred. Super sacred. We should probably take them to someone important who can verify their authenticity." Vorn's posture straightened. "The Interspecies Summit is happening on Nexus Station in 4 cycles. Every major species will be represented. There will be scholars, religious leaders, military commanders. If these are authentic, sacred tablets, they must be presented there." "Perfect," Rex said, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Let's do that. What could possibly go wrong?" Everything, he thought. Literally everything. 3 days later, Rex stood in his quarters reviewing what he'd found in the galactic database, and it was so much worse than he'd imagined. The tablets had been discovered 280 years ago on a human colony ship that had drifted into Uvarian space. With humanity mysteriously absent from the galaxy, a whole separate issue Rex didn't have time to unpack. Other species had tried to decode these human artifacts without any cultural context. They'd failed spectacularly upward. The diagrams of bookshelf assembly had been interpreted as spiritual roadmaps. The exploded view drawings showing how pieces fit together became elaborate metaphors for societal harmony. The little Allen wrench drawing had spawned 17 denominations. The warning about not over-tightening screws had been translated as, "Do not force that which resists," and became the entire philosophical movement about consent and boundaries, which honestly wasn't the worst thing humanity had accidentally contributed to galactic civilization. His door chimed. "Enter," Rex said, minimizing his research. Professor Quillnax glided in, because of course he did. Quillnax was a Uvarian, a species that looked like someone had tried to draw an octopus from memory and given up halfway through. He wore academic robes covered in symbols that Rex now recognized as badly interpreted IKEA pictograms. "Captain Hammond," Quillnax said in a voice like butter over gravel, "I understand you have acquired artifacts of extraordinary significance. I have studied the sacred tablets for 40 standard years. I have written 17 books on the interpretations of the third diagram alone. If your discoveries are authentic, I must examine them." "They're authentic," Rex said. "Very authentic. Extremely authentic." "May I see them?" Rex led him to the cargo bay where the tablets were now stored in a climate-controlled container, because Vorn had insisted on proper preservation protocols. Quillnax approached slowly, his tentacles quivering. "By the perpendicular dowel," he whispered. "These are perfect specimens. You see here on the second tablet, the clear path diagram. This is the most complete version I have ever witnessed. The way the arrows guide the seeker through the stages of assembly, each step building upon the last, teaching patience, precision, focus. It is beautiful." Rex looked at the diagram. It was literally just, Step 1, attach piece A to piece B using 4 screws. But Quillnax was staring at it like it held the secrets of the universe. "There's something you should know." Rex started, then stopped, because through the cargo bay window he could see 3 warships approaching. Their profiles matched the Horgath Collective, and they were broadcasting on military frequencies. "Are you expecting company?" Rex asked. Vorn appeared on the internal comm screen. "Captain, we are being hailed by Commander Thexus of the Horgath Collective. She is requesting permission to board. She says it concerns the sacred tablets. Her tone suggests refusing would be inadvisable." "Of course it does," Rex muttered. "Fine. Let her board, but everyone stays armed and polite in that order." 10 minutes later, Commander Thexus stomped into his cargo bay with 6 armed soldiers. Thexus was a Horgath, which meant she stood 8 feet tall, had skin like volcanic rock, and could probably bench press his entire ship. She looked at the tablets and her eyes widened. "The battle configurations," she said. "We have been searching for complete versions for decades. Our copies are fragmentary. But these show the full tactical deployment strategies, the positioning of units, the geometric precision required for victory, the coordination symbols. This is sacred knowledge." "They're the same tablets," Quillnax protested. "They are spiritual guides, not military manuals." "They are whatever the interpreter brings to them," Thexus said. "That is their power, and at the summit, we will prove that humanity intended them as warfare instructions." Rex looked at the IKEA instructions for assembling a bookshelf. Then he looked at the professor who saw enlightenment. Then at the commander who saw battle strategies. Then at Pepper, who was filming everything for what she called the best content ever. "Right," Rex said. "The summit. Can't wait." Rex had 48 hours to figure out what to do, and he was spending most of that time pacing in his quarters while Pepper followed him with increasingly unhelpful suggestions. Okay. Hear me out," Pepper said, zipping around his head. "What if we just tell everyone the truth? Because honesty is the best policy. And also it would be really funny to watch that professor guy have a complete meltdown, which I know sounds mean. But also, he's kind of pompous. And also the galaxy probably needs to know that they've been worshipping furniture instructions for 300 years, right?" "Wrong," Rex said. "Do you know what happens when you suddenly invalidate the religious and philosophical foundations of multiple civilizations? War, Pepper. Lots of war. The Allen Key purists have 17 colony worlds. The free assembly movement controls 3 trade routes. They've been in a Cold War for 70 years over interpretation differences. If I tell them it's all just instructions for a $20 bookshelf, they'll unite for exactly 5 seconds before fracturing into violence. But lying is also bad, Pepper pointed out. I'm not lying, Rex said. I'm just not correcting their extremely creative misunderstandings. There's a difference. Vorn entered without knocking because Cathalians believed privacy was inefficient. Captain, I have been studying the tablets extensively. I have questions about your interpretation. I haven't given an interpretation. Precisely. You are human. These are human artifacts. At the summit, you will be expected to provide authoritative guidance. The galaxy has waited centuries for a human to explain the true meaning. What will you tell them? Rex stared at him. Vorn, what do you think the tablets mean? Vorn's forearms moved in complex gestures. The process is clear. Each step must be completed before the next can begin. Rushing leads to instability. The foundation must be secure. Every component has purpose. Nothing is wasted. It is a philosophy of methodical progress and functional harmony. That's actually not bad, Rex admitted. And yet, Commander Thexus sees tactical deployment. Professor Quilnax sees spiritual journey. The Vreen Collective interprets the diagrams as mathematical proofs of universal constants. We are all looking at the same images, Captain. How can we all be wrong? Because you're all right, Rex said slowly, an idea forming. That's it. That's how I do this. He pulled up a holographic display and started sketching notes. The tablets don't have one meaning. They're designed to teach through multiple layers. The literal instructions are the surface level. But the process, the methodology, the underlying principles, those apply everywhere. Building furniture, building societies, building battle formations, building yourself. It's all construction. It's all assembly. The wisdom isn't in what you're building. It's in how you build it. Pepper's lights flashed excitedly. That's actually pretty good, Captain. Are you making this up, or did you secretly read philosophy books? I'm making it up, Rex said, but it's based on the truth, sort of, from a certain point of view, if you squint. The Jedi approach to honesty, Vorn said. The what? Nothing. Pre-departure Earth reference. I have been researching human culture extensively. Rex spent the next 2 days preparing what he privately called the vaguest sermon ever delivered. He practiced in front of his bathroom mirror, trying to sound wise instead of like a man explaining how to attach particle board panels with cam locks. The perpendicular dowel represents alignment of purpose, he told his reflection. The arrow guides but does not command. Each piece must find its place in the greater structure. His reflection looked skeptical. Rex looked skeptical of his reflection. This is either going to work brilliantly or start 17 new wars, he muttered. The door chimed. Vorn again. Captain, we have arrived at Nexus Station. Also, there is a situation. Of course there is. A group called the Lost Hardware Sect has seized the main conference hall. They claim to possess the 7th tablet, the final truth. They are demanding it be revealed at the summit before any other interpretations are discussed. Rex closed his eyes. Vorn, there are only 6 tablets. We have all 6. I'm aware of this fact, Captain. I thought you should know anyway. The Lost Hardware Sect, Rex said. Let me guess. They're the crazy ones? They believe the tablets contain coordinates to the human homeworld and that humanity will return to guide the galaxy. They have been classified as a dangerous cult by 14 governments. Their leader is someone named Archdeacon Vril. Great. Fantastic. Perfect. I love everything about this. Rex grabbed his jacket and headed for the docking bay. Behind him, Pepper was already recording. This is going to be amazing, she said. That's one word for it, Rex muttered. Nexus Station was the Switzerland of space, neutral territory, heavily defended, and expensive to visit. The main conference hall could hold 5,000 beings, and it was packed. Rex spotted at least 40 different species, many of whom looked ready to fight each other over Allen key symbolism. Security had cleared the Lost Hardware Sect from the main stage, but allowed them a platform to the side. Their leader, Archdeacon Vril, was a Zentari, a species that looked like praying mantises designed by a committee that had never seen a praying mantis. Vril held a tablet dramatically above his head. Before the human speaks, Vril announced. "The final truth must be revealed. For 300 years we have studied 6 tablets, but there was always a 7th, the one that explains all others, the one that shows us the way home." Rex squinted at the tablet from across the room. Even from a distance he could see the text. His heart sank into his boots. It was the warranty information. "Oh no," he whispered. "Oh yes," Pepper said, zooming next to him. "This is incredible, I'm getting everything." Commander Thexus stepped forward from the military delegation. "The sacred tablets must be presented in order. We follow protocol. The human will interpret the first 6 before any supposed 7th is examined." "I agree with the commander," Professor Quillnax said, which caused several beings in the audience to gasp because the two were famous rivals. "Captain Hammond carries the authentic tablets. He must speak first." Suddenly 5,000 beings were looking at Rex. He walked to the central podium feeling like a man heading to his own execution. The 6 IKEA instruction tablets were displayed on holographic screens around the hall, blown up to massive size. A simple drawing of a stick figure using an Allen key was now 20 feet tall and apparently loaded with cosmic significance. "Right," Rex said into the microphone. "So, these tablets." He paused. Every being in the room leaned forward. "I'm human," Rex continued. "These are human artifacts, and I'm here to tell you what they really mean." You could have heard a pin drop, possibly because several beings were holding pins ready to drop for dramatic effect. "The tablets teach through action," Rex said, warming up to his terrible plan. "You see diagrams, yes? Pieces connecting? This is not metaphor. This is instruction. But instruction for what? Not just the object shown. Instruction for everything. The bookshelf is the galaxy. Each species is a component. You must find where you fit, how you connect, what supports you, what you support." Professor Quillnax nodded eagerly. Several scholarly types were taking notes. "The warnings about forcing pieces?" Rex continued. "That's about respecting boundaries, natural fit versus forced compliance. The Uvarians were right about that interpretation. The arrows showing order? That's about process, methodology, tactical thinking. Commander Thexus, your analysis was correct." Thexus looked surprised, then proud. Rex was gaining confidence now, dangerously so. "The beauty is that you're all correct. These tablets work on every level because good design is universal. Whether you're building furniture, building alliances, building yourself, the principles are the same. Start with a solid foundation. Follow the process, respect the materials. Don't force what doesn't fit. Check your work. And if you have pieces left over at the end, you probably did something wrong." The room erupted in applause. Beings were embracing. Ancient rivals were shaking hands, tentacles, claws, and various other appendages. "Wait," Rex said. "I'm not done. There's something important about—" "Now the 7th tablet," Archdeacon Vril shouted, holding it high. "Now we learn where humanity waits. The coordinates to paradise." Vril began reading from the tablet in a booming voice. "Contact customer service at 1-800-434 IKEA. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Return policy. Items may be returned within 365 days with proof of purchase." "Those are phone numbers," Rex interrupted desperately. "And business hours. And a return policy." But the Lost Hardware sect was already working on their calculations, feeding the numbers into astrogation computers. "The coordinates are clear. 1.8 quadrant. Bearing 434. We have found it. Humanity waits in the IKEA sector." "There is no IKEA sector," Rex shouted. "Not with that attitude," Pepper said helpfully. Professor Quillnax approached the podium, his face unreadable. "Captain Hammond, is this true? Are the numbers merely contact information?" Rex looked at him, at Thexus, at Vril, at 5,000 beings who had found meaning, purpose, and peace in furniture assembly instructions. "Yes," he said quietly. "The 7th tablet is just warranty information and customer service details." The room went silent again, but this time it was the bad kind of silent. "Then what?" Quillnax asked slowly. "Are the other 6 tablets? Truly?" Rex took a breath. Time to rip off the bandage. "Instructions for building a bookshelf. A cheap bookshelf. called Billy, from a store called IKEA, where humans bought affordable furniture in flat boxes and assembled it themselves. That's it. That's the whole truth. I'm sorry. For exactly 5 seconds, nobody moved. Then Professor Quillnax made a sound like a balloon deflating in slow motion. Commander Thexus sat down heavily, her armor clanking. Archdeacon Vril dropped the 7th tablet, which clattered dramatically on the floor. Furniture, Quillnax whispered. 40 years, 17 books, all about furniture. Cheap furniture, Rex added, because apparently he'd decided to dig his grave deeper. Like, really cheap, $20. Humans used to complain about assembly difficulty. There were jokes about it. Marriages ended over misinterpreted instructions. It was a whole thing. What? Commander Thexus said slowly. Is $1? Old human currency. Not important right now. Vorn stepped forward. Captain, I must ask, what is a bookshelf? This, somehow, was the question that broke Rex. A bookshelf. It's a shelf. For books. Books are data storage. Physical data storage. On dead trees. Humans used to kill trees, turn them into thin sheets called paper, print information on the paper, bind the papers together, and then store them on shelves. These shelves required assembly because they were sold disassembled to save shipping space. The room remained silent. Then someone in the back, a Vrelaxian trade delegate, spoke up. So humans achieve spaceflight but still use dead organic matter for information storage? Yes, Rex said. And they needed instructions to stack 4 planks and a backing board? Some of us weren't very handy, Rex admitted. And these instructions, Professor Quillnax said, his voice strange. These simple instructions for a simple task. We built religions around them, philosophies, military doctrines, universities. Yes. More silence. Then Quillnax started laughing. It was a weird sound, like water going down a drain backwards, but it was definitely laughter. It's perfect, he said. It's absolutely perfect, don't you see? I don't see, Commander Thexus said. The tablets are a test, Quillnax explained, gesturing wildly with his tentacles. Humans hid profound wisdom in the most mundane objects. They made the simple sacred and the sacred simple. They tested whether we could find meaning in function, beauty in utility, enlightenment in everyday tasks. These humans, they didn't build monuments to themselves. They left us furniture instructions and expected us to find the universe in them. And we did. Rex opened his mouth to explain that no, humans were just cheap and liked flat-pack furniture, but something stopped him. He looked around the room. Beings who had been divided were united. Enemies had become colleagues. All because they'd found meaning in stick figures and arrows. Maybe the truth didn't matter as much as what they'd built from it. What Professor Quillnax said, Rex confirmed. That's exactly right. Humans believe wisdom should be accessible, hidden in plain sight, the sacred in the ordinary. You got it. But the 7th tablet, Vril said weakly. The coordinates are exactly what they appear to be, Rex said. Contact information. Because even in mystery, humans provided a path to answers. You just had to know how to ask. And yeah, those numbers don't work anymore, but the principle stands. Seek and you'll find. Ask and you'll receive. Even if the answer is just that you needed a screwdriver and some patience. Commander Thexus stood up slowly. So are military applications of the geometric formations? Valid, Rex said. If the principles work, they work. And the spiritual interpretations? Quillnax asked. Also valid. Same principles, different application. And the mathematical proofs? Someone shouted from the Vreen Collective section. Sure, why not? Math is universal. Pepper zipped up to him. Captain, this is the best day of my life. You just convinced the galaxy that humans are super advanced, enlightened beings by admitting you couldn't figure out how to build a simple bookshelf without instructions. That's not what Rex started, then stopped. Because yes, that was exactly what had happened. The summit continued for another 6 hours. Species that had been on the brink of war signed cooperation agreements. The Allen key purists and the free assembly movement merged into a new movement called unified construction. Archdeacon Vril abandoned his sect and applied to Professor Quillnax's university to study applied human philosophy. Rex spent most of that time answering increasingly weird questions. Did humans have spiritual experiences while assembling furniture? Maybe, if you count swearing as spiritual. Was the Allen key a sacred tool in human culture? Only when you couldn't find it, which was always. Is it true humans sometimes had leftover pieces after assembly? Yes, and we just put them in a drawer and never thought about them again. This last answer spawned an entirely new philosophical movement called embracing the unexplained remainder. By the time the summit ended, Rex had a headache, a new reputation as a human wisdom keeper, and 17 job offers. 3 weeks later, Rex sat in his captain's chair reviewing contracts while Pepper compiled their greatest hits, video for the Galactic Net, and Vorn organized their new cargo hold full of artifacts they'd been hired to authenticate. So let me get this straight, Rex said. The Uvarian Historical Society is paying us 50,000 credits to examine a metal object with human writing on it. Correct, Vorn said. They believe it may be another wisdom tablet. And what is it actually? A stop sign. I have researched human traffic control systems. This is a regulatory marker indicating vehicular operators should halt. And you want me to tell them it's about what? The importance of pause and reflection in decision-making? That would be accurate, yes. Rex looked at the stop sign in their cargo hold, bright red, octagonal, with stop in bold letters. Fine. That works. What else do we have? Pepper zoomed over, her lights flashing. Oh, you're going to love this one. They found a box of human documents on an abandoned transport, and they're paying us 100,000 credits to interpret them, but I looked ahead. Because I was curious, and Captain, they're tax forms, they're literally just tax forms from the year 2187. Tax forms. Forms for taxing, the boring money kind of taxing, not the emotional kind. Rex pulled up the documents on his screen. Pages and pages of forms, boxes, calculations, legal text in 8-point font. These are the most boring things humans ever created. Literally. We hated these. There's nothing enlightening about them. But you'll make something up, right? Pepper asked. Because 100,000 credits is 100,000 credits. The systematic recording of resource contribution, Vorn suggested. A society's method of understanding individual obligation to the collective. The forms require honesty, precision, and understanding of one's place in the economic structure. The penalties for error or deception teach accountability. The complexity demonstrates that civic duty is never simple. Rex stared at him. Vorn, were you a philosophy professor in a past life? No. But I have learned that humans apparently embedded profound meaning in everything they created, so I am simply following that pattern. We didn't embed meaning in everything. Sometimes we just made boring stuff because we had to. You continue to demonstrate humility, Captain. This is also very human, I am learning. Their comm system chimed. Incoming call from the Galactic Council. Rex accepted it, and a hologram of Secretary General Paxil appeared. Paxil was a Luminoth, which meant they looked like a crystalline tree had gained sentience and decided to wear formal clothing. Captain Hammond, Paxil said, the Council has reviewed the results of the Nexus Summit. The applications of human wisdom have been remarkable. 17 species have signed new trade agreements. The Allen key conflict has been resolved. You have brought peace through understanding. That's great, Rex said carefully. I'm glad it worked out. We would like to commission you for a special project. We have located what we believe to be a significant human artifact, a facility on the moon of Targus 7. According to our records, it was called a storage unit. We believe it may contain additional wisdom tablets or cultural treasures. We are willing to pay 1 million credits for you to lead an expedition to catalog the contents and provide interpretations. Rex thought about storage units, about the random junk humans threw in storage units. Old furniture, holiday decorations, boxes of stuff from college, things that didn't fit in garages, forgotten exercise equipment, probably several exercise bikes specifically. 1 million credits, he said. Correct. To interpret whatever we find in a human storage unit. Your expertise is invaluable, Captain. Rex looked at Vorn, who gave a subtle four-armed shrug. He looked at Pepper, who was literally vibrating with excitement. He looked at his bank account, which was healthier than it had been in a decade. We accept, Rex said. Excellent. We will forward the coordinates. The galaxy thanks you for your service, Captain Hammond. The call ended. Rex leaned back in his chair. Captain, Vorn said, if I may ask, are you comfortable with this arrangement? We are essentially allowing the galaxy to maintain elaborate misunderstandings about human culture. Vorn, let me tell you something about humans, Rex said. We were pretty good at misunderstanding ourselves. We had entire industries devoted to interpreting what other humans meant. We created art that nobody understood, including the artists. We wrote books about what other books really meant. We had arguments about whether hot dogs were sandwiches. If the galaxy wants to find meaning in our random stuff, they're just carrying on a proud human tradition. But the storage unit likely contains meaningless items. There's no such thing as a meaningless item, Rex said. Not if someone's willing to pay me 1,000,000 credits to explain why it matters. He pulled up the map to Targus 7, then paused. You know what, though? We should probably find some actual meaningful human stuff, too. Balance things out. Maybe look for libraries, museums, cultural centers, places that actually were important. We owe the galaxy that much. That's surprisingly noble, Captain, Vorn said. Yeah, well, even a wisdom keeper has to have some actual wisdom occasionally. Besides, I'm terrified of what happens when they find a human warehouse full of novelty t-shirts or something. What is a t-shirt? Vorn asked. Exactly my point. Rex set course for Targus 7, wondering what cosmic significance the galaxy would assign to whatever junk he found in storage. A ladder would become a symbol of ascension. A box of old dishes would teach lessons about preserving cultural heritage. Somebody's forgotten comic book collection would become sacred texts, and he'd be paid handsomely to explain it all with a straight face. His comm chimed again. This time it was a message from Professor Quilnax. Captain, I have completed my analysis of the Hemnes notation you mentioned at the summit. I believe it refers to a more advanced human philosophical system. I am prepared to pay significant sums for any Hemnes tablets you may locate. Please respond at your earliest convenience. Rex looked at the message. He thought about IKEA's product line, about how many different furniture items they made, about how many might still be floating around the galaxy on abandoned human ships and stations. We're going to be rich, he said. And technically we're not lying, Pepper added. We're just facilitating creative interpretation. That's what I like about you, Pepper, always spinning things positively. It's what I do, Captain. It's literally what I do. I'm a trader. We're all about the spin. Vorn began calculating their route to Targus 7. Rex opened a beer, something he'd found in an old human cache that still tasted decent after 400 years. He took a sip and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was probably doing whatever humanity did. Maybe they'd left on purpose. Maybe something had happened. Either way, they'd left behind a galaxy that thought they were philosophical geniuses because they couldn't assemble a bookshelf without instructions. He raised his beer in a toast to absent humanity. You magnificent, confusing, ordinary, extraordinary idiots. You broke the galaxy by being yourselves. I hope you're proud. His screen pinged with 3 more requests for artifact authentication. Rex smiled and got back to work.